Hi! I'm actually still on my feet. Um, don't ask me how. I actually had told my friend, or like one of my people I was playing Siege with, one of my old friends, or colleagues or whatever. And I expressed to him that I'm actually free of pimples. They haven't hit me for quite some time. I remember other kids had them sooner than me. So I felt a bit lucky until they hit, and I got it under control. I think mainly washing the face with cold water is the best, um, and don't touch your face too much. That's basically the main two rules, I guess, to keep pimples off. Uh, and it seemed to work, I guess, or something. So I was somewhat basically pimple free for quite some time, and then I just realized that I haven't, been like working on these fuckers for quite some time. And I told that to my friend who's a couple of years younger, and he was like, "Ah, okay, so with 24 it stops." And then I went to a journey down to south into Bavaria to a guy I know from the army, and I guess on the bus ride I was just leaning on my head on my hands very a lot, and so when I came back I had like two upcoming pimples in both mouth corners, like bottom right and bottom left, and I was like, yeah, I will just wash it and it will go away or something. But they grew, um, like they were under the skin. They were like embedded, but they were like growing to a point where they were like kind of sticking out, and they were like feeling like really annoying. It felt like these like balls, and you don't want to feel balls in your mouth, do you? So I did what was reasonable. Actually, they were a bit like off sync, so one came a bit sooner than the other one. And I know this is kind of all our topic off topic shit, but I mean I don't know. I like to rant a bit about life, and so the left one was the first one to like annoy me a lot. So I worked on that guy, and it wouldn't pop. I don't know. I did like everything to make it pop, but it just like did it like I don't know. It was like trying to bomb a really really good sophisticated bunker or something. Like everything around it was torn apart, but that thing was still sitting there. And I don't know. It was like a real battlefield, and then it kind of I don't know went away. It kind of went with the flow, and now the right side is, and it was even worse. And I was even sticking like nails in, like stitching it through the skin, piercing it through the skin to like make a hole, right? To like drain it out or something. I did everything I could. It didn't work, and now it's as well gone for some reason. It just has like given up or something, but like it's like completely torn. It's like like an if an actual grenade hit my skin or something like that, like a shrapnel. It looks. I mean, it doesn't look that bad, but it's getting better. But it kind of sucks because um, I mean, it's the only way I feel like I can save myself at this point. To I don't know, don't feel alone, don't feel unloved, basically. Because I think it's not the rational part that is really telling me to end it or something like that. I mean, of course, I'm trying to explain my situation in a rational way, but either way, it's more of an emotional drainage, like oil or something that is just not being refilled since a while. And and to be fair, I guess the oil my mother gave me wasn't probably in big quantities, but I guess you kind of develop in a way where you, like every life form, right? You work with the resources you get. If you don't get much love, it's not the biggest deal because you can adapt to it to run with less love. It sounds cruel, but that's the way it is. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's it's being really long, and that I felt like a bit like home, or that I felt like that I have like a home on this, just on this planet. You know, it doesn't need to be like the best apartment or something like that, but just like that I feel like I have a place. And because everyone, I feel like, is like trying to push me away. Anyways, that's why the pimple is kind of annoying, because I feel like the only savage or savior I will find is somewhere on these cold, cruel, filthy streets of Berlin. And the competition is tough, I guess. Depends. But I guess I have to feel well in my own skin. I think that's we're getting there. We're getting there. So I will give myself another couple more days. Try to run it slow. I've been smoking a bit more in the last couple days. I was not sober, but pretty close to it. I smoked not much, and especially, yeah, true. There's like I don't know. I went the second time to the clinic. That's like a whole nother thing. There's actually way more important stuff I wanted to talk about. But yeah, I don't know. I was in Gaslight Central the second time, so I felt really bad, and every time I was talking to my dad, I felt like I want to be eradicated. You know, like everything my dad is telling me is basically saying that you're on your own, son, and he won't help me, not in a. I mean, he helps me financially, I guess. Otherwise, I think, yes, I do have quite some. I mean, he's not rich, but you know, like every time, you know, I don't have to like stack up in debt or something, which I might have, if my dad wouldn't help me. So it's not like he does nothing. He does what he can, but what he can is like, yeah, it's like it's money, and helping me with like organizational stuff. Besides that, like on this whole, the world is kinda not going well. The history, what kind of part he plays, what kind of agenda was like played on him or something like that. Like he doesn't care. He thinks it's all just fairy tales, and sometimes you have like these moments where he like kind of starts to realize, but then he just bounces back to reality, to his reality. We were talking about like the national pride of Germans, and he was like he was born 1970s in West Germany, and he told me that, yeah, basically from the start he kind of was like, it was like kind of an unspoken rule that like, yeah, you can be a proud German, but there's like no need to tell everyone about it or anything like that. And to be proud to be a German is like something you either keep for yourself or you don't do it at all. And that's the easy way. Because there's some bad stuff happened or something, and we're just grateful that we even still exist or something. I don't know. And when he was like saying that, he kind of realized that that's not good. That is like a small but really telling thing about post-war Germany. But then he just is like, yeah, I mean, like, what's the matter, right? What's the matter with national pride, you know? And I mean, to be fair, if you see it like that, I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's my dad. So for him, the world is not that complex. Or sometimes, of course, it's too complex to even bother about, which makes it even simpler. But yeah. And yeah, I told him that like I really feel like I just have like one more thing I can do, and then it might be over. And he was like, yeah, let's go to the hospital. Go to the hospital and ask the doctor. They will know. They always know. And yeah, and then there was that guy, and no, true. No, that was the first time. No, true, the second time I mixed it up. This time it was different. This time it was even funnier because I started therapy with my mom because my mom was like being upset or something because the dog died, and she told me, and I wrote some, I guess, nice things or something, and she got it like into the wrong throat, and then she was like, we cannot speak without professional anymore, and we need to get like a therapist to sort this out. I was like, okay, that sounds fine. Let's do that. And she was like a man or a woman, and I was like, I don't care. And she was like, okay, I have like a therapist already. Let's just use her. And I was like, okay. And she actually was living in Berlin because my mom is not. My mom is like living in somewhere in the east, so basically far away. Like not in the east of Germany, not Berlin. But like that therapist was actually just like two stations from where I'm living. So we started that shit, and firstly it went like kind of okay. I mean, I don't really like the therapist. She was like pretty young, pretty new agey. I was like, that was also kind of funny. I was like asking her, and I was like starting to rant about how the world is structured, and but I caught myself before I started to spill the beans, and and she was like, yeah, it's the old white cis man anyway. And she had studied history, but I guess in Berlin. So yeah, like it's really crazy about like this like ideology, and it's really getting into we're getting really into dark times. Like just like instead of a swastika and some cool stuff, they just swapped it out all for rainbows and toxic positivity. But it's like it's in the unis, it's in the media, it's in the schools. It's crazy, bro. Like especially in Berlin, you see it in its fullest, right? It's kind of like an airport. It's kind of like the testing ground of what they can do with people. And I think Berlin, especially for Germany, is quite of telling of where it's heading. And if you would just tell other people in the other parts of Germany that basically everywhere will be like Berlin at one point, they would be like, no way, that would be the worst kind of Germany that we want, right? It's people tend to like Berlin to some degree, but all think it's filthy, and all I think are pretty happy that it's like closed off. But I mean, if you look now into other big cities, right, the scenery has changed. I'm getting off track. Yeah, so I was like talking, and in the end, that therapy thing didn't go well. I would say well for me to some extent, because like the therapist kind of agreed on my point of view, because I had kind of the fear that maybe I haven't reflected enough or something, but I seem to have quite a good understanding about the situation, a good understanding about myself and my mother, and also my suspicions where my mother might be lacking some reflections seem to be somewhat proven. At least the therapist didn't. I mean, we were like talking about like the flaws that I have and my problems, but the only real thing she gave me was like that. I don't give like an inviting an appearance, right? Because like for me, like the sirens are still ringing. For me, every day is apocalypse. Of course, I try to. It's not like in the nihilistic phase when like when you're in war for so long, you change, you adapt, and even though like the world is ending, right? You try to at some point realize you have to make the best of it. You still have to enjoy a stupid song with some stupid lines or something. And what I can really recommend is I Don't Know, or IDK from Jake Hill, and also from Jake Hill, Game Over. I don't know. Just funny songs. And I don't know, something to get your mind off sometimes. Of course, you need to do that. You can't live every second in war. But yeah, besides that, I guess that was like the only thing I could like take away from her. That also like I wear like desert tan boots together with like cargo pants. I'm like chugging them like in the in the boots, and I don't know, it's just really cozy. The cargo pants are like oversized, and they almost I don't know, it's like a military mix between like these like gore trousers, or what you call them, or something, and like gore trousers in yeah. And I don't know, people seem to really look at my shoes or something, because I asked them sometimes. People told me they look comfortable, and they definitely are really comfortable. The best shoes I've ever had. It's Hikes Black Eagle 2.0 or something like that. Really, really nice shoes. It's actually the second pair I have already. And the durability, in my case, they work for like 3 years, and like 2.5, 3 years, and they start to break down at the zip line. We're getting into unnecessary stuff. So, back to the point. How did I get to the clinic? It was the last, or like the thing was like over. My mom, like, we were like in a call, in like an online chat call, and my mom just started ranting and bursting out, and like that I will like never change, and that I'm like this and that, and she completely. I mean, it was, for me, it was like the usual stuff, but of course it was really telling for the therapist, and she basically crashed out, and said like, this is not gonna work. This is a waste of money, and. Yeah, and that was basically the last time I heard from my mom. And then the therapist was like, okay, let's do one more session. I was like, okay. And then she was like at the 26th, and I was like still like 20 days or something. And I was like, I really want to maybe have the room open to do it if I want to do it. So I was like, yeah, I don't know, 26th, I might not be around to see that, I think is what I wrote. And she was like, okay. She wrote me back an email, and she was like, okay, we can do tomorrow. And I was like, okay. And I didn't really realize that that for her it was like more of like an emergency meeting. For me, it was just like, oh, it's just the last meeting, and that's it. Yeah, and then we're like speaking about like my mental state and how I feel, and I mean, I'm not stupid, I don't say, I'm like, I know, like, this, like, when it goes like into this like psychological suicidal bullshit, it's like really important to listen, like, to take care about the wording. It's like like a lawsuit, or almost like official speak. I mean, it's part of what the feds, how the feds speak, right? And so I like moved around all the keywords, but I mean, she wasn't stupid, right? She got like that. I'm pretty big on the edge, and she could understand like how helpless I feel. Also with my situation, with all I've done, and still I'm sitting here alone. There was like also different stuff, but in the end, she was like, she couldn't give me any advice really much. Basically, she was just like, keep trying, try something. I don't know, get yourself out there, try to, whatever you can do, and if you can't do it anymore, then you have to go to a hospital or something like that. And yeah, whatever. Either way, she called the fucking feds on me. And because she was like, yeah, I cannot go, I cannot go, let you go like this. You cannot really answer. I mean, I did answer the question, and I was like, I don't want this. I don't want anyone to come and pick me up or some bullshit. And yeah, the fucking paramedics came, and there was like a really, really beautiful woman in the paramedic team. It was like two guys, one driver, one assistant, and her. And I don't know, she was like a really Nordic girl. She was really nice. And yeah, she was like asking me, and I was like, yeah, I don't want this. I don't feel like this. I just want to go home, and she was like, oh, is she just like a Heilpraktiker, like, is she just like an like a pseudo doctor or something like that. And I was like, maybe I don't even know really much. And then I was like, oh, maybe I can just go home. And she went in and talked with her, and then she came back and she was like, no, okay, we have to drive you to the hospital. And they drove me to the hospital. It was a really nice ride. They actually turned on the fucking lights and rushed through the city for some reason. And yeah, and then I came there. I still had to wait like fucking 20 minutes or something. And then I had to wait like 2 or 3 hours more. And then the doctor was like speaking to me. And he was like, yeah, like there's basically just two options. Either you go to the clinic again to Gaslight Central, or we lock you up in the hospital. You know, he said, I don't feel comfortable with leaving you like that. And I mean, the paramedics haven't talked to him. He didn't know much about the situation. So it was much depending on what I say. But yeah, then I was like, okay, I guess here we go again. Second try, Gaslight Central. And I told him, I think I already know him, you know, probably will be the same. And it turns out it will be the same. So then I waited for a bit, and I came to the clinic, and it was like the first day is more of like they give you some papers, you have to sign some shit, read some shit, right? And the first day is you don't really participate. And I mean, I know like the team, the people who work there from the last time, they haven't changed much. Most of them are still the same. I mean, it's just like half a year ago. But like one of the sisters, I mean, I still know her from last time, but I mean, she was like a really nice looking woman, but I haven't even, you know. And she was like giving me some papers and was like standing like in front of me. And I had sleeping like really bad the day before or the night before. And so I was like kind of drained, kind of on low sleep. But yeah, she was like giving me like the papers and our eyes like kind of connected. And I don't know, I had like this like lightning going through my fucking stomach. And I kind of took some time to realize what just happened. And then the next day I saw her. It was like a Friday. I participated like in the normal group activities, and I saw her for like a bit. We were like, I remember we were like playing like some table tennis or some bullshit, and it was kind of funny. Not gonna lie. And then on the next Monday I was like, yeah, maybe I try to try shoot my shot or something. Or like just observe a bit, like it's like kind of it's like kind of school, kind of like school, you see those people on a regular basis. So I was like, maybe I can just like sense for something in the air or something. But then it was like I came on Monday, and it was like in the morning round I didn't saw her, and the other sister said, the sister she is on a vacation for a week. And like on the Friday I heard like, oh yeah, like this guy is on weekend, and we were like going through the timetable with the sisters, and they were like, yeah, like you won't have this because she is vacation. This has to be swapped because one is ill or something like that. And so it was kind of surprising that the only one I really cared about just had no announcement of going to vacation. So I felt kind of it's like an usual feeling, it's like because before the clinic, oh no, that was after it. But like, I always when I see something, when I'm like, oh, maybe, I don't know, then it's just you have like this like the 1 or 2 time frame of like a quick time event, that if you don't press the button in the 2 seconds, it's gone, right? Especially I guess with like girls you see on the street or something like that, right? And I don't know, it feels like I don't know, I play like Siege and fucking Tarkov and stuff like that, I'm a fast guy. It's not that my brain is not trained to do fast decisions quickly, and but like in that kind of sense, it feels like I don't know. It's like yeah, I don't know. By the way, if you hear some banging, there are some pretty privileged kids above me that I think they have vacation or something, and they have like the whole apartment for themselves, and they're like dancing around and shit like that. It's pretty annoying. But yeah, I don't think you will hear much of it, but I don't know. It really gets me. It reminds me of my mom. The last 3 steps you hear before being shamed into oblivion and being screamed up upon and something like that. I mean, it was not every day like that, but it was the bad ones. Yeah. So then I was like still at the clinic, and I mean, my main goal, of course, was not to hit on the sister or something like that. I didn't even think about her. I was just, of course, planning to meet someone new at the clinic. And because like the last time it worked kind of okay. I mean, I met that Dominic guy, and but of course, as it turns out, it was a big bummer, and he was, yeah, he was one of the many. Yeah, he was one of the many, one of the normies who are more like dreaming about being someone special than actually, doing much for it. I personally feel like, of course, I do reflect and whip myself, if I'm even better in a single bit. But I mean, it was kind of obvious because I don't know. I was like telling him like I need like a real good, strong friendship, somebody I can spend a lot of time with. And he was like, yeah, bro, I feel you. I just have this girlfriend, and sorry, it's getting my mind off those fucking kids, man. So yeah, so and he was like, I just have a girlfriend and I have some friends, and I still have like some other stuff to do. But I used to be just as lonely as you. I know exactly what you're going through. And I was like, okay, maybe we can meet up some more then. And he was like, yeah, bro, like I have to evaluate. It's like so much, that I have to, figure in and do, sports, caring for myself. I have this girlfriend now I met at the clinic. And I have like these friends that really want to play Battlefield 6 with me all the time, and they like sometimes even begging me, so much to do, so it's the way it is, and I was like, okay, and it would be okay, but then he like is like completely ranting about like the normies. He's like completely ranting about like, that nobody is like doing something with meaning, that all are just running in circles. And I was trying to tell him, I mean, bro, aren't you doing like the same? I'm sitting here all day researching and confronting myself with information, and then the other half of the time I'm like trying to figure that shit out or something like that, and that's most of the time I spend, and that has completely isolated me. Because people tend not to deal with that shit much, especially not in the intensity that I'm embodying it. So, and he was like into that stuff, and I could talk with him about like Freemasons and like different stuff, a bunch of shit that other people had to be like really diplomatic and carefully about. So that was kind of nice, but I was like always in a small time frame, and also I felt like he was really biased, and he's like one of those guys who's more talking about the works of others than working for himself. So it's about like this YouTuber or this philosopher or this or that, and it's like always looking up for people who have like prestige from the system. Yeah, I don't know. And in the end, he chose himself, and because I was telling him that I don't want to do this, I don't want to, but it's the way it is, I need more, I need more than just like a couple hours in one once a week, where we just update ourselves and talk for like 1 or 2 hours, and then you go off to your girlfriend again, you know. And yeah, and he was like, yeah, man, you know, nothing I can do, basically. And yeah, and then I dipped it, and then he was like, I like kind of, it was like a long story, like I kind of blocked him, and he was like writing me a message, why did you block me? And I was telling him that, and it was like other shit that happened. I know it really sounds like really schizo, when I'm like, like just like saying, oh, I found someone I connected with and he chose his girlfriend over me, and then you know, it fell apart. There was more to it. It had a bit more nuance. He was like talking a lot of stuff that like there was like a disconnection between what he was speaking and who he was. I remember he was like often speaking about like what it means to be a true man and something like that, and to sacrifice for yourself for something higher, and protect the ones you love and shit like that, and be part of something, and I don't know, crap like that. The Heldentod, the hero stuff. But in the end, he was just yeah, like I don't know, like a gooner, but like not for like sexual content, but like a gooner for like for this like kind of stuff, right? This like Warhammer warrior fantasy shit. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with, you know, it was like wanting to be a warrior or something, but then you know, you have to like do something, I guess, you know, live the warrior lifestyle and not just dream about it. And I don't know, I mean, he had like the pentagram tattooed, and I was like really suspicious, and also something that I think of, like kind of, I came across this thing, this pentagram, that like the top spike of the pentagram means like consciousness, and like the other parts are like the material world, and like the satanic pentagram is like the upside down pentagram, so you have like the consciousness below the material world, so you choose the material world over consciousness, which seems to be exactly what most normies and most people in general are doing, of course, especially the psychos as well. And I mean, of course, it fits what life forms do, I guess. But we are conscious, right? We're not just life forms. We're not just biomass that is just concerned about its own constellation and environment. We're conscious beings, so it goes a bit further than that, or should go a bit further than that. And yet, the upside-down pentagram seems to be the norm. It seems to be what most people do, and what is not questioned. It's not fraud up upon, you know. When people say, oh, I don't, you know, get into politics, you know, because it's really, you know, like draining me. I'm not really watching the news or something because it's too bad. You know, I cannot take it. You know, I do understand to some degree. And especially in like this kind of current game of politics, because of course most people that will jump into the game will either start with left side, right side, or like the moderate middle one, but always like are just running in circles. There's no win you will find. There's no solution, no person, no identity that will really give you the answer. You know, you will just have like a choice between lesser evils, I guess. And usually also that is just perception, because yeah, the left and the right wing are part of the same bird. I got off track again. So I was at the clinic a second time. I was there. I had that thing with like that sister. Then she was at vacation, and I was feeling more and more kind of depressed, because I kind of got the feeling that of course there was no other girl in the group that I was in, and also in the other groups there was like no schizo girls or something like that. I was like a goth girl, I guess, but she was like a half-baked goth girl, and more like a heavy metal enjoyer, like more of like a it's hard to describe that archetype, but more of like the Norwegians might call her a Panzerlesbe, like more of like a tough girl, but a really masculine girl, yeah. Which can be charming, but it was like above the level of, in my perception, of charming. And also she didn't really look like she was looking for someone, and she was like really into like, I mean, she was like, you know, I mean, you could feel the self-hatred and not just the hatred of the world, you know. And it is one thing to be upset about it, one thing to be bothered about it, but it's a whole nother thing to just hate it, you know, to hate the reality. Because it can be nice, you know. I mean, maybe she's just further down the rabbit hole, and maybe I will get it. I mean, it's not that I'm not getting it, but it just seems a bit, you know, because I'm sorry. It's like, you know, when you're like in your nihilistic phase, and you just like listen to XXXTentacion or something, and like all this like depressing stuff, it's all just violence and bad and murder and I don't know, then of course you kind of miss like the other part. I mean, it's not bad, you know, as long as you know that you're currently mainly, how you want to say, practicing the black magic, right? Being down like the into like exploring the field of negativity, right? There's nothing wrong with that, as long as you still know that you are exploring that one part. And you know, it's like, even though I haven't experienced most of the real positive shit, it's still, I know it's there, right? And I mean, sometimes I got a glimpse of it, you know. It's not that every second of my childhood was bad. I had some moments where I felt kind of safe. I had some days where my mom wasn't completely stressed out, you know. Like there were some of those lucky days, and I remember like there's some nice stuff, like being out at when it was snowing in Greifswald, and there's like this like a Wald, this like, how do you say, like, yeah, old middle age fortification, which is basically just like a hill, like a long stretched hill that you can walk upon. And of course, when it was like winter and it was like snowing, we took like the slides, and yeah, that was kind of fun, not gonna lie. So it's not at all was like bullshit, like, yeah, some bullshit. And I know that what theoretically is possible, and if my mom maybe had waited like 5 or 10 years to like stabilize herself a bit, might have played out all differently. But of course, in wartime, you don't have the time. You know, you have to work with what you got. So the clinic. Yeah, and then basically I had like a talk with the psychologist and with my Norwegian friend. And because I told my Norwegian friend that when she comes back from vacation, I might ask her out or something like that. You know, I mean, I really saw something in that girl, and I guess it might be the thing I've been looking for so long, right? For something special, for something that feels like, you know, because of course, I at first I was like, yeah, it's nice, but, you know, I mean, I'm just a skits, and she's working in a Gaslight Central, right? It's like two opposites. Then I also was like thinking romantically about it, right? Like the love that shouldn't exist, or that shouldn't be allowed, stuff like that. Because in the Norwegian also told me that usually the personnel of these institutions, of these facilities, I have like what do you say, like a restriction to don't have like relations with patients. And I was like, no way, dog, no way. There's like this one girl I see something in, and it's not even like allowed. And I mean, I was already like, you know, like, I mean, she works like in this like kind of thing, and then I'm sitting here trying to, you know, do my thing, and working on the Holy Grail. Um, and basically sacrificing all my promised privileges from the Matrix, right, for something that you can't even see, fighting in a war that she probably won't see. I have, and like, yeah, of course, it's like that already seems doomed to fail. And then I was like, oh, okay. And then I was talking to the psychologist, and she also told me that this rule in fact exists. So she would basically risk her job or something. And then I was like, fuck this, man. And then I dropped out of the clinic again, completely empty-handed, basically none a bit wiser. Also, I talked with a psychologist about other stuff, and I speedrun kind of my situation with my raising, how I got here, what has happened, what deficits I have, what benefits I have, and why I'm like kind of stuck in this situation, and why I'm like kind of at a point where I'm like exhausted. I don't have really the fuel to go longer on this road that seems so unfruitful, right? And it seems like everything I get is just making like everything that goes inside is making my outside worse. Maybe not worse, but like it seems like that the truth is like kind of like eradicating life. And that's something I also had on my acid trips, on my peaks, that I thought that the true goal of consciousness might be the freement of consciousness from being like part of this, like, or being like chained to physical reality, being chained to being a life form, having like these like all the stuff that makes the human experience. And the human experience might not be the most pleasant for a conscious one. I guess that's also why most people tend to not be as thoughtful about it. Either way, I dropped out of that clinic. I put my shit together. It was the time where I basically had no pimples. And I took like a nice shirt I had. I have like this like Indiana Jones 1942 gas mask bag, and just got myself a drink. It's summer, and I was like, all I have to do is like just patrol, just go out and see a bit around. And occasionally, 1 or 2 times, I saw like a nice girl. I never managed to talk to her or something because I'm not confident enough, and I didn't felt like the situation. And then I just whipped myself at night because I was like, why am I such a stupid idiot? All these fucking faggots, they managed to get a girlfriend or something like that, and I'm just, I know that I'm not that stupid fucking child, that retard, or that perception what people have had of me in school, like this like kind of role I got placed into, that, at this point, like, it doesn't exist anymore, theoretically. Like, the people outside, they don't know what I've went through. They don't know what people thought about me earlier. And I have grown out of most of it, I think. But yeah, the problem is, I think I haven't gotten the true confirmation yet. Because the true confirmation also would make me way more confident about myself. But yet I do have that problem, that I do feel like I don't deserve love or something, that I'm just a burden, because that's what most people told me. Or not just told me, but reflected to me, that I'm just work for them, and yeah. And of course, like with the idea, right, with like what I'm doing, it seems like so yeah, I don't know, it seems to be so much. I also realized that at one point there were some questions where your mind might not help that much anymore. So what I've did, it was like the hottest part of the summer for now, actually, to the point where the fucking brainwashers, the state media and stuff like that, they were like all like making propaganda that, oh, the world is going down like every other summer since the last couple of years. It's all global warming, and it's like not safe to go out and stuff like that just because it was like 40 degrees. I went out either way for a whole week, marching, patrolling, with music, without music. We mostly sober. I only was smoking at like when it got like too dark to a point where you couldn't really see people that much anymore, and then I had like some weed at the night. But most of the time I was walking. Also, to the point where you get those bubbles at your feet, I guess. My feet were hurting, my back was hurting, but I was like thinking to myself, it's all about discipline, and stuff like that, And I was really trying to hype myself up to be able to, I don't know, get myself the love I deserve or something. And it didn't work out for a whole week, to a point where I got like really, really down again. And also, like, I felt like the end was like really near. And then my buddy from the army was texting me that we might hang out a bit. And I was like, yeah, maybe I come to you to the south, the people seem to be more like patriotic down there. Maybe I have more luck down there. Spoiler, I didn't. It felt weird to pond in the forageon, to fish in a forageon pond. Oh my God. To fish in a forageon pond. Yeah. Was like a weird feeling, because I felt like, I should be able, because I was born in Berlin, Berlin's my home. And actually where I live is basically the streets where I was raised. Like the actual first apartment I was raised in is just 2 or 3 numbers across. Or down the road. So I feel like, it should be possible, even though this is like the ideological melting pot and like all the stuff that like all those justice warriors and Redditors and you know how it is, right? So even though it seems unlikely, it should still be possible, yeah. But I don't know, mate. I don't know. I can't seem to do it every time I see something nice. There's like this like 1 second opportunity, that quick time event that you press the button or you don't. I haven't pressed it one time. I haven't managed to do it. And actually, there was one time where there was like a really beautiful girl. And she was like coming from a party or something, because she had like glitter on her, I don't know, like below the eyes, I don't know how you call it. And she was like really looking like super fine, right? Like, and like not like not like these like Instagram chicks or something like that. Like she was like looking like a real person, right? And she still had like a light in her eyes, right? You could feel that she was like consciously actually in reality right now. But I don't know, we just passed. She didn't even look at me. And like even when I say it like that, I feel like this like Redditor, like these like, or like these like fucking insults, bro. Like I will never manage it, and like I do look on my posture, I am confident with what I'm like running, like my style or something like that, I am myself, but I feel like I did everything. I achieved most things that made me an insult, and yet I'm still there, and then I was like in the shop getting a drink, getting out again, and I saw her like 100 meters like running. She was still inside. I even got a second chance, something I tend to never get. I even got the second chance to just maybe, walk up to her. And she was like walking with a friend. But of course, in that situation, you just need to tunnel vision through it or something. And all I needed to do is like walk up on her, and I don't know, say something, just try, you know. And then I was like, nah, that's creepy, you know. And then it's like I'm following her or something like that, you know. And yeah, and it's like, I don't know, man. It's like I'm feeling like sometimes I'm possessed or something, you know. With all these voices telling me, you know, all the shit that, you know, that's not even worth it, you know. And of course, you know, the most reasonable thing would be to just do some shit, work something again, to get the opportunity to meet somebody in a more natural kind of form. But, you know, I'm too exhausted to even try at this point. So it will work this way or no way at all. And it didn't work for that 1 week I did it. It didn't work in Bavaria. And I mean, my pimples are like that battlefield of a pimple is slowly growing some grass again. But yeah, I think, like I said, I think I still need like 1 or 2 days. Maybe like, yeah, in 2 days, I think it might be way better. To a point where I can be a bit more confident about my appearance again. But to be fair, like from the little stuff that I see, the little looks I get from girls, it still seems to don't make much of a difference. And that's something, you know, I don't look that bad. I guess I sound more ugly. I don't know. I sound more ugly than I actually am. But yeah, especially like, I don't know, the way, I don't know, I want one from my tribe, you know. I want like something familiar, you know, and like there's like a bunch of like Latinas and Asians and like all these like race mixed people, and it's like nice, of course, to get some good looksies from them, but I mean, also like with the way I'm running around, I think I look like a proper German, you know. I think I look like a proper German, you know. I have like a really slick like hairstyle, you know, like with the, how you call it, like the Scheitel, you know, where you know, it's like proper German cut, like this, like proper German haircut, and like with the shirt I'm running, with the military stuff, and especially, of course, with the aura, right, being target oriented, you know, being precise, being cautious about your steps. I don't know how to say, but I feel like, you know, like it's more the other races that are more attracted to, I guess, a proper German than my own Germans. But I think that could be just because like it's because when I was in Bavaria, when I was in the south, where there was like this like fucking World Cup thing, and my buddy was like, yeah, let's go to a public viewing. Let's go to a public viewing. I was like, I don't know, mate, so much people. And he was like, yeah, come on, bro, let's do it. Don't be a pussy. And I was like, okay, bro, whatever. And I've never seen so many white people in one place in my life before. It was crazy. Like 90 till 95% were just like white Germans. And I just realized how fucking desensitized I am from Berlin, you know. Like, I would be dreaming of that high, because like the couple German girls that don't are like down into like this like feminized rabbit hole where they like butcher themselves and their haircuts to the point where they're not even like attracting anymore, and where they don't really resemble a woman anymore, right? And that's what a lot of like white German girls do in Berlin. So like the couple that still walk around, and then it also the couple that still walk around, then you have like at least like 70% of that portion is like these like Instagram girls where all they wear is like white and beige and like, you know what I mean, right? With the little Gucci thingy and the little handbag sees, and they all have like the same style. I would personally just call it like the IKEA style, because I don't know, for me they look like how the fucking interior of like an IKEA apartment looks like. Like everything is like cleaned, but also you kind of know everything is just a facade. But it's like expressionless, conformity in one style. And there you already know, they hang on the phone most of the time. They probably just are more, they like openly live out the upside down pentagram. And then of course you have like the alternative girls, and they're like, I don't know, it's like a lot of them are like just like the really hardcore left guys or girls, and I guess you still have like goth and stuff like that, but I don't know, like the portion of girls to look out for me is not that big, to be fair, in this city. But yeah, I don't know. Everything I do, it doesn't really seem to help. And I don't know. So back to an important topic. So about the ideology part, there was something. There's like two more things I want to get into. First, why I think that I am a Nazi hippie, and secondly, the Holy Grail. So, from my understanding, my research, my confronting with life, and confronting myself, I came to the conclusion that the real truth is quite ambivalent, going both directions, right? So, since our line of thinking is not really meant to have two processes at the same time, that especially then go in completely different ways, completely opposite way, the real truth is kind of incomprehensible as a whole. You can understand the truth in singular things, but the whole picture seems to be really hard to grasp, since it's going two ways. And there's always the light and the dark part, always the forward and the downward going part, the plus and the minus, or something like that. And I know it sounds like a simplification of things, and that it does sound more nice but I can just tell from my trips, my psychonautic experiences, it does seem to hold itself truth all the time. And it's something that did help me a lot because I don't want to be a Nazi. I don't want to be a hippie. I don't want to be a Nazi who's completely fanatic, who's just following orders, who's also just, supporting the current thing, if you want to see it like that. But I also don't want to be a useless hippie who's just smoking weed all the time and talking about shit that mostly doesn't really matter. But those two archetypes are not just bad. They're also good. Or they also have really good traits. And for me, it seems the most accurate depiction of what I am or what I think about myself. I think I'm a Nazi hippie. To clarify, I don't think the Germanic or the European races are superior or something like that. I do think there is a natural form of racism. I do think there is an order of trust. The first thing you trust is yourself. The second thing you trust is your family. The third thing you trust is your local area, or what we used to call the tribe. And maybe above that, we have gotten to a point where there's a bigger form where multiple tribes, multiple local locations are being part of something bigger, something that is not as nuanced, not as specific as a local culture, something that is a bit more broad, something that is meant to connect similar tribes into a fitting shoe, into a fitting uniform. And we might at some point get to a point where even those nations are being all pulled into something that is unifying the nations, right? Because that is that thing that is unifying local cultures. It's the nation. And but yeah, like I said, I don't think there is a master race. I think every culture has adapted to its environments and got benefits and deficits, according, of course, especially if you leave your natural habitat, it's pretty likely you might get more deficits or see more the deficits. But and especially if you see it, it is like a good natural order to have different cultures with different specializations, and it's not that every culture is flawless, and it's I have to say I do think that cultural exchange to a certain degree is really, really healthy. But of course, to a certain degree, and the way it is right now, it's a to make it short, a conspiracy to annihilate cultures as a whole, starting with the West. But it will sooner or later annihilate most cultures to get that unidentifiable mass of people who have completely lost their roots, who will make a completely no breed, basically. It reminds me of Mass Effect. I've seen like a 3-hour video or something where they were like talking about like the politics and especially the race agenda, race mixing agenda, and I played it with my dad when I was like young or something. I never really were listening to the dialogue. Maybe I should have. There's some interesting stuff to pull from that game. Even though the writers weren't probably on our side of things, to be fair. But yeah. Yeah. But that was just like the one thing. The other thing about the small head people, I think there is like a difference between Zionism and the small head people in general. So no need for trains or anything like that. But yeah, I don't know, to go after the conspirators is of course something that should be evaluated. And it's not that they are unreachable. They have made a system where they are unreachable. But on an individual scale, especially if you would give an I'm sorry, an individual the power to be above the system, like a king or anything else you might find for that has the power to reach those people without bothering about the systematical barriers they have built around them. Because like, yeah, it's at a point where it's just laughable. It's just really laughable. There's so many incidents. And just recently again, they have done like a reform, like they have rewritten some rules or something like that, which are basically meant to just, yeah, they're just fucking us in the ass. But everyone is talking about the World Cup right now, so no one really cares. And yeah, the World Cup also like a whole thing for itself. But I will smoke one more cigarette to back this up. The Holy Grail. How can we make sure that the torch is not extinguishing? How can we make sure that this world might not go down? And I really think it comes down to being smarter. It's not about being stronger in a classical sense. It's not about being richer. It's not about being more powerful. Those are all tools to keep them down. But it seems like all the opportunities we had, we didn't took them. So we are at the point where we are right now, where they are at the top and we're at the bottom. So what do? What might be the Wunderwaffe? What might be the Holy Grail to save us? What might be the ladder we could build to reach those people? And more importantly, to reach the power of who is saying what reality is. And I really do think it is about being smarter and providing something better, providing something coherent. Because the narrative the normies get, we all know it's flawed. I mean, that's why we're here on the schizo path, because from the start we felt there's something wrong with this place and nobody is telling us. And because on the surface this world doesn't seem bad. I remember when I was a kid, and I was like making trouble in school. Then those people came with the ADHD program, and that, maybe I need some pills, maybe I need to do some special tests or something like that, And those people, they didn't seem like Dr. Mengele or something, They didn't seem like some scary Nazi doctors who want to experiment on kids or something. No, they were just ordinary people with a good heart, thinking they were doing something good, but actually just feeding into this like system of oblivion, or of not oblivion, of annihilation. Right? So I really think it comes down to presenting a reality like a Bible, like the religious texts, presenting a reality that is addressing everything, not everything. That's the feeling maybe you should get, that it addresses everything, but of course that's impossible. But you should address everything that's important. You should address also something I've been thinking about, right? This like Tartarian rabbit hole. I mean, it's neat, but I mean, I think it's a psyop. Like, to be real, I think it's a psyop. Like, because there is the old world, You don't need Tartarians or something like that. There was this old world where, living in these communities was actually like worthy of a conscious being at this state of evolution. And there's no Tartarian or there's no conspiracy you need to make up. And maybe there is some conspiracy stuff, and maybe, of course, I mean, they have trying to deconstruct this old world for quite some time, and I also think that the world fairs are really suspicious, and they do really seem like a ritual or something, like the doomsday party of getting a last glimpse of what was, and but it's a weird thing. But it's just important to remind that where we're coming from. You don't need Tartaria, you don't need Atlantis or something like that. Just remind yourself of where we are coming from, and that all this agenda they have been spitting out about that all people were just stupid in the Middle Ages, and we were all just some anti-Semitic rednecks who had no clue about anything, who were living like shitty rats and something like that. And of course, even before that, it was even worse, and the good Christians had to civilize us and some bullshit like that, right? There's more stuff in reach, I would say, than this Tartarian rabbit hole. And it seems like they want this, just like Flat Earth and all the other psyops, to discredit real feelings, to discredit real emotion that is actually based on something real. That there was a nice world that was slowly taking away from us. And instead of having people addressing that with something real, they give them Tartarian and some other stuff, so they can hang up on those things, can maybe even be in that kind of bubble, right? Where they use this wording of Tartarian architecture and stuff like that, and they they communicate with these kind of words. So for outsiders, it will always be okay, they believe in these fake conspiracy theories, So also these like feelings that we actually come from a nice place might be all just BS, and it's all just nostalgia for something that never happened or something like that, right? And also, yeah, you could argue maybe that's real, maybe that's even the truth. Um, but of course, the question comes down to, because like in the end, I wasn't there, so I can just either go into my instincts and the research I can do myself, or I trust those people who are trying to build this prison planet. And then you see the truth that they give me is not beneficial. The truth that they give me is to walk forward, and whatever you do, don't look back. There's nothing to see there except misery. The Nazis and all the slavery and all the colonization and raping of poor African kids or something like that, right? Whatever you do, don't look back. Everything was bad, and it could be worse because yeah, like it used to be worse and it's better now or something like that. And yeah, I don't know, man. And there should be, like, I think like this holy grail will be reminding humanity of where we're coming from, reminding us of who the real enemy is, what the real war is. Because it's not just about psychos, normies, and schizos, it's mainly about the cultures. It's mainly about what makes us humans. It's mainly about the war on the tribes and trying to mix us all together so we don't remember anymore. Or remembering will be more of, like I think I said it before, that in the future, like, culture will be more of like a LARP. It will be more like live action role play, right? So you have like 17% German and 18% Nigerian, 28% Russian and stuff like that, and then you just like choose your culture like a starting Pokemon or something like that. And yeah, and I mean, what you see at the World Cup is basically already really, really telling that nationality, national pride is just a big, big LARP, and has been industrialized to farm shit again. Yeah, not just maybe luge, but of course more on the material level, right? All the fucking nonsense they sell, you know. They probably don't sell a single German flag once a year, but once the World Cup is running around, you know, everyone is buying like German flags and everything like that. Even in Berlin, where when out of World Cup season you raise around a German flag, there will be some pissed antifas who are thinking about maybe just burning that shit, you know. Yeah, because there's nothing to be proud about, especially not as a German, especially not as the second oldest country in the world, I guess. Yeah, it's just yeah, you know. But that's all like the war, you know. That's all the front. That's all, you know. I can separate myself. I can see myself as a soldier. I am part of this war, but I am not the war itself. And I'm still a human. I'm not an entity who's like completely caught up in this war yet. So I can, you know, sometimes also view it a bit with some distance. The only problem is I'm always viewing it alone. I'm fighting it alone. I'm retreating alone. I'm loading my magazines alone. You know, it just sucks, bro. It just fucking sucks, man. And like the idea of finding like a girl that can like take these like hour-long schizo posts from me seems unreachable or something. I really do feel like there is some conscious girls out there who all they really want is something real. But yeah, I haven't seemed to find them. Yeah, I don't know, mate. I really hope the war's progressing a bit more in our favor. It's not all that bad. It's not that we're taking a lot of hits for sure, but especially we have to understand, right? It's not that our enemy is completely superior at this point, not yet. And the system they have laid up is still where a lot of people know just what they need to know. But sometimes it would be helpful if they would just know a bit more. But because most people, of course, they just work for the system. They don't see the like black hole that it actually is. They just stay in their lane. Have a little bit of tunnel vision, just know what they need to know, and as long as they're benefiting more than the others, they are happy with it. And that also comes down that not everything is a perfect laid out psyop, right? It's not that every hit we take from the enemy, not everything the CIA and the Freemasons and the fucking politicians are doing, not everything of that is the perfect laid out plan. I think oftentimes things don't quite go as planned as they want it to be. And because that's not how war works, most operations need to adapt. Maybe you have a general plan of flanking from there, maybe reaching a certain hilltop or something like that. And maybe the result actually comes down to it, but probably there is some resistance you haven't planned into. There's some time that's running down. There's maybe some obstacles you have to run around with. And because that's how war is working out or playing out. But like the Epstein files, I think they have helped us a lot. But they also help them in a certain degree, where the psyop I see in the Epstein files is how much can we put out there? How much can we tell the people into their faces what is happening without them, how to say, how paralyzed is the herd already? How paralyzed are the normies already? That even you have the Epstein files who confirm basically most conspiracy theories, right? And you still have these normies who still are like, yeah, those are just some emails or stuff like that, or yeah, those are just a couple people, right? Like they will always, and that's something I think they wanted to maybe test out, that the normies will always find something they will always take some ground to how to say, to stick with their narrative. And even if you tell it them into their face, they will be like, yeah, but it's just this. Yeah, it's just those people. Yeah, it's just a couple or something like that, right? And because, of course, for them, if they would really dig down, they would be like, okay, I guess then all the politicians, all the systems we have, they're all just it's all a lie. It's basically just all a lie. And we haven't allowed the system to rise that is basically built on farming. It's built on farming, and not just that, it's built on farming more and more every year. Right? That's the main problem with capitalism, right? That is infinite growth. This idea that every country, every fucking institution, every company has to make more every year to sustain themselves. Yeah, which is basically the metaphor of the Egyptian taking the whip to whip the fucking slaves to build the pyramids, to make it faster. I mean, they still do it even without the whip, but with the whip they do it even faster. Yeah, it's crazy, right? And if you really come down to it, it doesn't seem to be that complex anymore. Of course, it's a complex system. It's really a lot of work you have to go through to understand how it came to be. But in the end, it's a rather simple truth, to be fair, right? But of course, then it always seems so like you just smoked some weed and you came up with that shit, But whatever, people will think what they want to think, I guess. And I mean, they don't want to hear that what actually happened in World War II and what the defeat of Germany actually meant for Europe and the West, and maybe even the rest of the world, right? The grave of the old world, and all the narrative control. And I don't know. I really hope, if I don't manage, which it really doesn't look like I will, I really hope somebody will achieve to make this holy grail, find it, and show it to the people. Because that's the only way I see to basically make a new cult, on a new religion or something like that. Something that's a bit more based, something that's a bit more, something more handy. And I was reading actually some comments from one of my last videos. There was like a guy who was like writing like 6 or 7 comments or something for my what was that video again? Cruel World, Cruel World. And he was like with like timestamps typing in shit. I don't know if you listened to this, but thank you, man. It took like 5 months or something, but I saw it. Because for some reason like the comments are not showing, and I have to like press from top comments to newest comments to see what people commented, even though it's months ago. They still don't show in the comment section. Interesting, right? But yeah, he also told me about like that I should like read the Bible and stuff like that in the Old Testament. And I do have to say, I mean, I've got got like indoctrinated a bit with like Christianity and stuff like that, and I don't think it's all bad. I do still think it's the psyop to destroy Europe, but there's some really, really nice things, and there is especially some big truths to get from it. And especially for maybe some Christians listening or something like that, I personally think the most important thing, and that was also the thing that I realized when I was on acid in my battle with God and something like that. How the Christians say, God shall not be pictured, God shall not be embodied, right? There's like this word, I don't know the English one, in German it's Götze, like that basically statue of Baal they had, the fucking golden bull or something like that, when Moses was on the top of that mountain Skyping with God. And they built like this like golden Baal figure because they needed something to pray, I guess, or something like that, right? And I personally think, I mean, maybe there is different entities, and maybe there's even good entities that you might want to be your God or something like that. I don't think I'm qualified for that, and I would like more to have a religion that is like, okay, there's God, there's like something behind the certain, there's like something beyond reality, or at least there's enough evidence to, with a reason, I would say, to believe in something higher. But it might help to not be pictured. It might help to not think too much about it, right? I mean, occasionally for sure, but I think, it is more reasonable to stay more with our thoughts in this realm than trying to figure out entities and what they might want, and if they might help us or something like that. But because, to be fair, I think like the discovery of entities and worshipping and working with them together, I think might just be the the fucking problem this all bullshit started with, to be fair with. But I don't know. I think that was it for now. I don't know if I will. I don't know how long I will last. I will try to feel myself nice again and throw myself out. But I'm really on the edge. Like I'm really, really sick and tired of fucking hoping. And I think I have a toxic relationship with life. Right? You hope she will change, and yet you're getting crazy because. You expecting change where it's just never coming, and you believe maybe tomorrow will be the day where it will all be different, and then you get mad, you get fucking crazy. Either way, I think that was it for now. Hold tight and go win this fucking war. Until later.